Hey guys, this is Learn Linux Together, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to set up a Rust Ubuntu server in AWS, Amazon Web Services. And if you're unfamiliar with anything, I'll try to go slow and explain stuff as I go. But Rust is a survival game. It kind of skyrocketed in popularity again lately. I know on Twitch it just hit 1 million viewers. And I was kind of excited to do this and set it up. There's a lot of self-hosted servers out there. I know a lot of people found old hardware and are trying to set it up at home, but they run into upload issues. You need pretty fast upload speed. And then I know some people will use a website called gameservers.com is I think what it is. And which is if you don't want any configuration or have any headache in the setup. I know it kind of builds it out of the box for you, and you kind of choose your pricing as you go. And it's going to be cheaper than AWS, but for my friend and from reviews, it seems like there's a lot of really bad support and a kind of a plethora of other issues that he encountered, and I saw in reviews. But I saw some people said it was great. So it is a cheaper option, less headache. But AWS is definitely going to be more reliable and stable. But it will be a little more expensive. Okay, let's get started here. So I'm already logged into my AWS console, and logged in, set up. I made an IAM user because you normally don't want to do anything as root. And the first thing I did is I switched my region up here in the top right. It always defaults to US East 1. I'm on the West Coast. I'm gonna be putting my servers in Oregon. I like Oregon servers. And then another thing is this. Going back, this video might be a little long, so I'm gonna put some timestamps in the description to help people if they want to, because you could probably skip most of this beginning piece if you already have this set up. So, all right. So first thing I'm gonna do is. Out of the box, you can just go build the server and whatnot, but I'm going to build this VPC section real quick. I don't want to use the default CIDR they have. So I went to VPC. If you just type VPC up here, it's called Virtual Private Cloud, and it brings you to your VPCs. I'm going to click Create a VPC. I'm just going to call it Rust VPC or something. You can just copy me if you don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just putting it on a huge block. Just out of habit, doesn't really matter. Okay, made that. Next, I am going to go to subnets, and I am going to make a subnet. So I'm going to choose the Rust VPC. I'm going to call it Rust subnet. I'm going to do 2A, just 24, and you can just copy me if you don't know what I'm doing. Okay, create subnet. Okay, let's see. Next, I need to make sure the route table is all set up. Let's bring this up. Let's add I need to make an internet gateway real quick. Oh, we got one. Let's create a new one. Rust IG for internet gateway. Let's create it. This is to access the internet, so everything in this network can access it. So next, I'm going to go back to my subnets. I'm going to click on route table. Click on this link here, and I'm just going to add the internet gateway so everything can reach the internet. Zeros, internet gateway. Did I not just create it? I guess I didn't create it. Let's go back for a sec. Actions attached to VPC. Rust. Okay. I'm not sure which one it was. Let's see. Route table, routes. There it is. Save routes. Okay, close. Let's see if there's anything else I can do. I think that's it. Okay. Okay, I think I got the network set up. And like I said before, you can just use the default if you want. So next, hopefully I didn't miss anything. I'm going to go to click on services, going to go to EC2. And this is the building out the server piece. There's a little orange button here, or you can just click on instances. And then click the orange button to launch instances. Here we go. And let me pull up the Linux GSM page real quick for you guys. And so on this page, you can just, it'll tell you the minimum distros. It seems most of the documentation kind of is around Ubuntu, so I'm going to just use Ubuntu. It's just easier. I normally use CentOS. Yeah, so let's search Ubuntu. And there's the newest version, 20.04. Let's select that. And then here's the piece where you're going to have to try to figure out how big do you want this server. From kind of researching a bit, it seems that the minimum is 4, but obviously you don't want 4, and it goes up to 12. I'm not sure with those 500-person servers if they're like, at 32 or something. I'm not too sure. But for what I'm doing, I'm just going to do 16. I know for the CPU it says 3.5 gigahertz. I'm just going to do 2 virtual CPUs in here, and I think that's going to be good enough. If I have to come back later and mess with it, I can. The cool thing about Amazon is if I pick a let's see, let's M5. If I pick a series, and let's say I pick this one here that has 4 virtual CPUs and 18 gigs of memory, and it's like, this isn't enough, or it's too much. You can always go down, which it's really easy. It's really quick. You just click a button. But yeah, so there's a couple series instances that are my go-to, and it's like the C5 series, the M5, and then the R5. The R5, R stands for RAM. It's the memory series, which is like a lot of memory and kind of mediocre CPUs. The M series, actually it's called the C5 series. C5 series is a lot of CPUs and not a lot of RAM, 16 virtual CPUs. So it's going to be higher CPUs in the C series. And then there's the M series, which is the kind of in-between series. It's like a better 1-to-1 ratio for CPU to memory. So this is probably the most common instance family. I think for me though, I'm just going to be choosing an R5. Oh, and also you'll see this little A next to the R5, the M5, and the C5, and that's the AMD CPU. AMD is a little cheaper, and in the gaming world, like maybe there is some better results with the Intel, and these are Intel CPUs on the C5. The A is the AMD, but from my experience, it seems like they're really close in performance. So, and it's cheaper, so that won me over. So I'm just gonna I think I'm gonna pick the R5A. Has 2 CPUs. I'm not sure yet if that's gonna be enough. 16 gigs of RAM is more than enough for what I'm doing. And I'll come back and change this if I have to, but I'm gonna pick that. Okay, so here I'm gonna choose my network, the Rust VPC. Choose my subnet I made. I am going to disable this for now because I'm gonna make a static IP and associate it with it. Let's see, I'm gonna enable protect against accidental termination, and let's see. I think that's it. You don't have to do this part here. Okay, let's go to storage. I'm gonna put 50 gigs. I don't think I need that much. I'm just gonna do it anyways because storage isn't that much. The volume, of course, SSD. They have provisioned, which is super fast, but also super expensive. Obviously, don't use magnetic. So I just use the default there. I'm gonna use 50 gigs. I think it only requires recommends 30. But like I said, you could always, cooling with Amazon, you can just one click of a button increase it. So let's give it a name. I'm just gonna call it Rust server. And let's go to security group. I don't have a security group yet. Let's see. Let's call it Rust server. And I'm going to choose my IP here. And I'm going to blur that out. And let me see. Also, there's some ports that are required to be open here. So let me Google them real quick. Rust ports required. One sec. Let's see. All right. So quickly looked it up. The ports are 28015 to 28016 TCP and UDP. I thought it was something different, but yeah. So I'm gonna add these in real quick. So custom TCP. Let's add the port 28015. Okay. I'm gonna just do anywhere. So let's do custom TCP rule again, and this one's gonna be 28016. Anywhere. I know it's giving you a warning down here, but it'll be okay. Let's go to custom UDP 28015. Let's do anywhere. Let's do custom UDP again 28016. Let's go anywhere. And the 0 to 0 means any person from the outside internet can come in through this port. And these are the ports to kind of, I know one's Archon. I probably can limit the 28016 to just me, I believe. I'll come back and edit this later. For now, I'll just leave it like this. So let me see, TCP, UDP. So everything's in. Let's review and launch. So quickly go through and see what you did. Let's see, I got 50 gigs of storage, 16 gigs of memory, 2 vCPUs. Hopefully that's enough. Let's launch it. And then to connect to your Linux server, you just need a key pair. I'm just gonna make a new one. I'm just gonna call it Rust server. Download it. And let's launch it. Okay. Let's go to view instances, and it's done. It's like really quick. Cool thing about Linux, and it is really light. And and a lot of people will say it's a lot easier to host a Rust server on Windows, but and it probably is. It's easier to click. Like sometimes the command line can be kind of aggravating if you're getting something wrong. But right off the bat, Windows operating system uses, like, this is a guess, like around 30% of the resources. There's 16 gigs of RAM. It's using like 3 of it just for the OS. And the same for the CPU, and it requires 100 gigs of storage. The cool thing about Linux is it's so lightweight. If you have 16 gigs of RAM, you're pretty much getting 16 gigs of RAM because it's such a lightweight like OS. So this is running. I'm going to connect to it. Actually, I don't need to do that. I'm going to get the network. Click the networking tab. Oh yeah, I forgot. I got to make an elastic IP. So I'm going to click elastic IPs. Let's allocate one. US West 2. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Let's give it a name. Rust server IP. And so I got a new IP address. This is my dedicated IP. It's not going to change. Normally when you make an EC2 and you just have it assign you one, that IPv4 public IP will change, So if you got some friends that are connecting by IP, they're gonna have to give them the new one, and yeah, it just makes it a little easier. So I am going to click Actions, Associate, and this is where I'm going to kind of choose my instance. And there's the Rust server, the only server I got, and there's the IP of the rest of it. Okay, Associate. Now let's go back to instances, and let's see if it updates. Where's the refresh? There it is. Let's see. Huh, okay. One sec. I don't think I hit that checkbox, I think is what I missed. I think it's just going to take a sec. I'll be back in a sec once it finally associates. Okay, it associated. I was just looking at the wrong box. So there it is. There's the IP. Okay, so now let's connect to it. I'm going to copy my public IP. Let's see. And I am going to use, there's a lot of different SSH tools you can connect to servers with. I'm just going to be using Xshell. School version. Okay. Let's see. So, oh yeah, what username does Ubuntu use? I think it's just Ubuntu. Yeah. So if you click the server, click connect, you'll see the username. You can change it. I'm gonna leave it as is. I'm gonna put SSH Ubuntu at the IP address. Connect, accept and save. Gonna find that key. Downloads, maybe? Is that it right there? I think that's it. Okay. Okay. We're in. I'm just gonna run as root. And let's see. Okay, so the first thing we gotta do is update the operating system. I'm used to CentOS, I'm used to Yum, so if I mess up some of the commands, don't beat me up. Update -y apt-get, let's see. Okay, so apt-get update will kind of update the OS. It's like running Windows updates. And I did the -y just to press yes to everything it asks. So updated the system. Next is, so I'm going to be using Linux Game Server Manager. It's free and it's a cool setup. Basically, the first thing I'm going to do is run a command to kind of get all of the dependencies required. It kind of changes the architecture. It runs another update in the command. It'll install a couple commands like wget, all the zip Python, binutils. It installs a bunch of stuff. Oh, and of course Steam CMD, which is required. So here's the command, and it is going. And you can get all of this. I'll put the link in the description. It's all on that Linux Game Server Manager's website, and it's a really good guide. You're gonna be prompted. Just put yes. It's a really good guide, really thorough. You're gonna hit tab, press OK, press I agree. This is usually pretty quick. If it takes a while, I'll come back. Okay, we're done. Awesome. So all the dependencies should be good. So let's see. Next, I know it does recommend to use GameDig. It kind of just helps it. It's an additional module to help gather more info from the game server, such as the current map, connected players, and it displayed everything in details and logs. So I'm just going to set it up for you guys real quick. Set it up for myself, and you guys can do it too. And that is to get this going. Yeah, where's the command? So basically, it's installing Node.js and then doing another, I think, a bash script. So let's see. There we go. Okay, it took a sec, but it's done now. And then next, I'm just going to be once the Node.js is installed, we're going to use the npm to install the GameDig, And the command is npm install gamedig with the G flag. So here it is here. And then again, you don't have to use this if you want to use the native Linux GSM to gather the log info. So let's see. Okay, so I think the next piece is kind of creating a user, a Rust server user, because you don't want it to be running on root. So let's see. Okay, so we're gonna put in add user. We're gonna just call it Rust server. I'm gonna give it a password. Just gonna call it Rust server. Not gonna give any of that. Oh, dang it, whatever. Okay. And next, I'm gonna change to the user Rust server and run it as super user. Okay. Now, if you look over here, I'm running as the Rust server user. Next we got to download the Linux GSM. It's a script, and it's basically going to go through and download it, and then once it's downloaded, then we're going to install it. So, and it is a wget command, and the command is right here. And again, I'm going to link these instructions in the description. And it is done. Okay, so you got that already. So next we're going to install it. We're going to run the installer. And it's just, and when you're in here, the command's going to be /Rust server. That's going to be the command you're going to be using a bunch in here. During the installation, you should see this screen here. Just press yes. And there it goes, checking all the dependencies that was the first command we ran. So these are all the commands that it originally installed. The cmd is the big one. Should be done in just a sec. Okay, should be done by now. It took me about 5 minutes, I think. I'm gonna say, was the install successful? I'm just gonna put yes. I'm gonna put yes again. Oops, too many S's. And the Rust server setup. Okay. So you got to make sure you're in the Rust server directory if you want to run any of the commands, and it's /Rust server, and it'll kind of give you all the commands to run. So let's start the server. Rust server st. And this should start the server. So it gives me a default RCOM password detected, so I'm going to go ahead and change that. Okay. So let's go in there and do that. Let's see. Trying to remember where it's at. So let's ls. Let's go to lgsm. Let's go to config-lgsm. And connect to Rust. Go to Rust server. And let's see where we're at. Okay. Here's the 3 configs, and I'll print my directory. So it's home, Rust server, lgsm config -lgsm, and then Rust server. So the common and the Rust are going to be blank. So I'm just going to copy the default over to the Rust, and I'll show you real quick what it looks like. So you just go into Vim. I'm going to use Vim. If you're not familiar with how to use Vim, see real quick, it's blank right here. You could always use. There's a couple other ways to do this if you want. You can actually do it with a WinSCP, and then kind of just open a notepad. But I'm just going to use Vim. You can also use Nano. I know there's a couple other ones I use. I use Vim. So I am going to copy the default to rust server.cfg. And there we go. Now it's full. Okay. Let's make this bigger. That's fine right there. Okay. So I'm gonna insert, let's see. There's the password. I'm gonna change the password in a sec. We're gonna call this West Coast. I'm gonna call West Coast Noob friendly. There we go. West Coast Noob friendly. Let's put a space in the coast. And then here you can kind of choose the max players. I'm just leave it at 50. I doubt I'll even hit that. If I get 5 people, I'll be happy. You're also gonna mess with the world size here. You can make it a huge map, make it really small. So there's a bunch of options here. Just go through it. There's a bunch of like autosave and tick rates, and let's see if there's anything else that's useful to me. You could set up Discord alerts, email alerts. I think that's it. I think that's it. Okay. I'm gonna press escape, :WQ exclamation. That saved it. I'm gonna reopen it again just to make sure it's saved. And scroll up. I didn't change anything else, did I? Okay. So everything looks good. I'm gonna move my thing real quick and change the password. Yeah, so at the top there's an Archon password. Make sure you change that. Okay, got my password in. So let's go back to home, Rust server. Let's see. Let's go into the Rust. Oh no, let's go into server files. Server files. Where am I going here? Let's change it to server. Let's ls again. Change it to the Rust server. CFG. There it is. Okay. I'm gonna vim into this. And let's see if there's any settings in here I want to play with. So these little pound signs, that's just a comment out. If you remove it, it'll actually enable these values. So like, let's see. If you want to control fall damage, you would delete this, and then there's the values. I'm probably going to leave everything default for now. And I'll show you the path I got to this file as well. Let's see. Yeah, everything's good. I'm not gonna mess with anything here. Okay. Okay. I'll provide. So the directory for that one was home, Rust server, server file, server, Rust server, config. Okay. All right, guys. So I think from there the server's good. I did restart the server, and you do that by period / rust server /r, and then I just restarted it. But it's basically set up from here on out. There's a bunch of, if you want to install any mods, it would be the command I just said with the mi, and you can get oxide, and there's a bunch of other things you can go through here and do. But I'm gonna leave that open, but come back to it. And next is gonna be the Rust admin management console. This is the free version. The paid version comes with a bunch of cool stuff. I definitely recommend doing this. To set this up, just Google Rust admin, download it, extract it, go to configuration, and the key really is going to be the public IP, that elastic IP I made, put that in there. The server port 28015, the Archon port 28016, and there's the put your password that you put in that config file, and I also put my Rust server login. And so whenever anybody connects, I can see their names here. I could right click them and do a bunch of stuff. There's some statistics and whatnot. But let me open up Rust and get connected to this server. And I know the server should show up in the community list. I know it takes some time sometimes. I'm not sure how long. I know there is some troubleshooting, like if the name's too long, it won't show up. If it's not updated, it won't show up. So, all right, so I'm in the game. Let's see. Play game. Takes a minute to populate everything. Like I said, you can try to search for your stuff. I would give it a day. Sometimes it takes a little bit, like an hour. Who knows? But press the F1 key. I'll turn the volume down one sec. So once you're in the game, press F1, and the command is going to be connect, and then the IP address of the server, which was, I don't remember now. Go back into Amazon console, copy it, there it is. Okay, and control paste that in, and then you got to make sure you put the port too, so put a colon 28015, and you're going to click connect. There it goes. And of course, the asset warm-up takes a bit, but yeah, that's setting up your own Ubuntu Linux server in Amazon. It's super easy. Takes honestly 15-20 minutes. You might run into issues, but luckily Ubuntu is pretty documented. Hopefully, I gave you some guidance on how to do this. I'll link everything I went over in the description, and hope you guys have a good day. If you liked the video, give it a like.